What is going on? Back again with another build in public. This video is going to be going through kind of the transition to make.com that I mentioned in a couple of videos ago. What I've kind of been doing in it, how I'm learning it at a quicker pace than most people I think would learn it, and also kind of what I've been using it for, and also my transition across to Make in terms of what I'm currently doing on Zapier. So a couple of things that I've just found before I even get into this that Make can't do, that I kind of expected it to do quite easily, is the code blocks that Zapier has. So Zapier has the ability to run Python and JavaScript quite easily. You know, it has the AI function. You can just write the script and it'll do it pretty quickly. And I would use that to, save a lot of time and a lot of specific steps inside Zapier. So one thing I found really hard coming into Make is just not having that ability use AI to write a script really quickly. So that's one thing. What it does have as a replacement, and I'll kind of bring this up here because I'm just learning this as I go, and I thought it would be helpful, is the ability to run a script in itself, which is kind of weird that I'm explaining it so poorly. But if we just have a quick look, if we have basic tool, okay, press OK. Let's just add an item here. Name Matt. Cool. And then if we go add another tool and set variable. Cool. So if we've got this little menu up here, obviously we can see our pre-referenced documents and data and stuff, but you actually have the ability to do different kind of programming functions inside each field. So for example, if I wanted to do an average function and the average of values, I can do that inside here, and then I would just add my variables inside, and I'd be able to run that. Now I understand a lot of these from a technical point of view, because when I studied coding, we had to learn this. However, I've forgotten a lot of them, and I can see how this would be a barrier of entry rather than just using AI to write the script, because AI knows the syntax, it knows the formulas, it knows all that kind of stuff. It's to a point where you can just tell it exactly what to do and it'll write it out for you. So that's one thing that has been a bit hard for me to kind of learn, but it's okay. I'm picking this up pretty quickly to the point where there's some really cool stuff that can be done in here. And I'll talk about a tutorial that I followed recently. But yeah, so getting back into Make and how I'm kind of picking it up pretty quickly. So the transition so far has been pretty good. I'm enjoying Make because it's something new, it's something fun. And I've started building some of my clients' interfaces and stuff in here, workflows. And it's actually been really well received. So they haven't really noticed a difference, which is probably the biggest metric that I'm kind of tracking. One of my clients had a decent sized launch for one of their businesses. So they were getting I think it was they did 500 leads overnight, which is pretty crazy. And they didn't notice any changes. So for me, that's a massive win, but the run cost of it was significantly cheaper than, running it on Zapier, right? So there's just a monthly cost. So for me, it was great. And the actual build was really simple. I feel because it was such a simple automation, just like a type form to a Google Sheet, it was so simple and it took me a lot less time from start to finish. Now, if you think about automation, right? Automation's there to save you time. Building automations, you also have to factor in time. So the time it took me to build a one-step Zap in Zapier versus the time it took me to build a one-step Zap in Make, the Make won, which is really interesting. So that's a good feature for me. I like that. Now, the other part of this is how I'm picking up Make quickly. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of people who do this who are similar to me, that when they find something new, they obsess over it and they go all in on it. And I very much do that, right? So obviously having a coding background, having a Zapier background, picking up Make is relatively quick. And there's a reason why I didn't pick it up as well when I first started versus now, is because I have the experience now of doing Zapier and all that kind of stuff. So the way that I'm learning it quickly is just immersion. So I'm looking at a bunch of tutorials online. I'm just watching random workflow videos that I don't specifically need, but the biggest like breakthroughs for me and like capability and things that Make can kind of do that I didn't think of come from hearing someone explain something that they're working on, because they may give me like a really small snippet of information that I haven't thought of. And I'm like, oh shit, like I can implement some change into a workflow, or I can save some operations here, or whatever. A really good example of that, I was looking at building a dashboard that essentially takes a month's worth of like gym data, so people who are like attending a gym, and taking that information and updating like a Google Sheet row by row, right? And I saw in some random video that there's actually a module for the Google Sheets batch update API, where it just has an API call that does a batch update, right? Now for this gym, it's got, like 200 members, I think, or a bit more than that. And they all average about 20 to 25 visits a month. So I'm tracking each individual visit. That's going to be what, like 200 times 20. That's a lot of operations for me to just, go back and forth and run that automation. Whereas if I do it in a batch, I save myself literally thousands of operations, making it significantly cheaper. That's something that I learned this week, which is pretty damn cool. So biggest thing for me is just immersion, getting into it, using it as much as possible, and making mistakes, debugging mistakes, and, searching through the forums and all that kind of stuff. I've also noticed that the Make forums are actually pretty good for support. Unfortunately, because I don't think Make has as much of the market share as Zapier, and Zapier is so commonly used, there's not as much troubleshooting when it comes to, being stuck on a problem. So I'm also finding that I'm getting more errors than I ever did in Zapier. So it makes a little bit less forgiving when it comes to that. Now, I want to go through one thing actually that I got off a guy named Nick, who also runs an automation agency on YouTube here. His videos have been pretty fantastic, and they've really helped me a lot, especially like getting into the nitty gritty of Make. So I built a scenario that is inspired by his a tutorial that he has online, which is basically scraping Upwork jobs, because I'm always looking for new leads. I'm always looking for new ways to find leads, but I'm also always looking for new products to sell people, right? So he has this scraper that basically takes all the Upwork jobs that have a phrase of automation, which I'm doing something very similar, and then every 90 minutes he runs through setting up running that automation to basically scrape any jobs that have come through. Now mine's a little bit simpler than his, because I don't really care too much about some of the things that he mentioned in his tutorial, which each to their own. So basically what it is an RSS feed that is watching a certain search criteria and then filters it through ChatGPT, passes the JSON and sets a couple of variables and then populates an Airtable. This is so simple, but I think about the application that this has past just me, right? So for a lot of Upwork users, the thing that's going to get them the job is that they were the first in and they have the most convincing message, right? This generates a personalized icebreaker, and it can tell me, like, I'm running mine the day of, but you can set it to be like very consistent, that you can get in as quickly as possible. It will improve someone's ability to get a job tenfold, right? Now, if you think about the market here, people on Upwork probably don't have the most amount of money, if it's their sole income source. But there's people out there like me who use it as one stream to generate recurring customers, right? So my goal here is to, get a small project, then sign that person onto a retainer after I wow them with my work. So with that approach, right, this kind of system could be incredibly valuable and could make someone thousands of dollars. So then you can then sell this for thousands of dollars, which is really cool. So Nick kind of went over that in his video. Again, kudos to Nick, all credit to him. This was not my idea. However, the application of this is insane because you could sell this to people and then you could run this as a service for people. If you didn't want to sell the actual implementation, you just run it for a specific RSS query and, give access to a Google Sheet to someone or whatever it is. Which is kind of sick. So I'm running this daily instead of every 90 minutes because, one, I think that will be fine for me. As I said, it's not a main source of leads for me. So I think it's pretty cool to do that once a day. But that's a pretty quick recap on Make and what I've kind of been doing. I find that it is a rewarding platform to kind of build on, maybe more so than Zapier. Just like the feedback that I'm getting from the actual application when something successfully runs, I find it's a bit more of a dopamine hit. So one major thing though, if you are, running a business using Make, whatever, don't spend all your time just building workflows and neglecting parts of your business like getting leads, getting bookings, all that kind of stuff, fulfilling for your current clients, because it's not more important than that kind of stuff. At the end of the day, the tools don't really matter. It's about the problem that you're solving. And I am just saying that because I have to remind myself of that sometimes too. So hope you enjoyed this one. I am going to head off. As you can kind of see, it's pretty late here in Melbourne, and I will see you again next time. Oh, one last thing. If you wanted to work with me, you can, book a call below. I'm taking on clients, as you can see. So I'll speak to you guys soon, and thanks for watching.